What's going on, Malakies? Vnncz3 here, and let's spend some quality time gaming with each other. And in today's video, Scoops, we're going to go further into depth on how to become a rally leading powerhouse. This video is going to start the intermediate level of rally leading. So yes, it's going to be a few videos because I'm going to be going further into depth with all of the different gear sets, the heroes, all of that good stuff, Scoops. Also, I want to mention here that if I'm ever, sound confusing or you don't get what I'm saying, check the description. I've got all of the stuff typed up in order, basically. So you can just go in order and you can check it, all that good stuff. Also, I would really appreciate it if you guys would like, share, comment, and subscribe. And the only reason I'm saying that is because, one, the YouTube channel I just recreated, and two, I've got to get videos like this to start ranking up in the YouTube algorithm. As funny as that sounds, it's better if we all win and not just the players who are like hardcore VNN fans. That's all I'm going to say about that. But without further ado, Scoops, let's just go ahead and dive right into the video. And first and foremost, what I'm going to say here is that you need to pick one troop to specialize in. Please do not swing large. Don't try to be the jack of all trades, basically. You know what I mean? Like, oh, look, I got Material Madness. Now I got a range set. I've got this set. Look, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to set yourself back a lot of work, okay? You're like, well, if I do it incremental, any way you slice it is what I'm trying to say here, Scoops. Any way you slice it, you're going to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. So you're essentially gimping how hard you can actually hit somebody and or how well or effective you can take a rally from somebody, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. Please, specialize, pick one troop type, and that's it. For this video, we are going to be going with the infantry setup, okay? All of the gear you're seeing right now is all best in slot. It's got the absolute highest amount of infantry attack associated with it. I will go over each piece and the jewels in them. I will also go over budget items for you guys out there that are very low spenders, and I do apologize, you free-to-play players. There really isn't an intermediate video for free-to-play rally leaders. It's just not something that's possible, and so I do apologize if that's a big turnoff. I don't know what to tell you, but anyway, Scoops, let's just go ahead and dive right into it, right? So we'll start off with the Terror Lash. This is by far the best in slot infantry main hand. It just is. It offers the absolute most attack. And it's funny because it's only 2.5% more attack, but it's just better than anything else, okay? It's also going to give you 10% more infantry defense and all that other good stuff, okay? And so here we go. Let's look at the jewels. Trojan Jewel. This is really key essential for an infantry set because the troop HP, like I'm saying, like, attack will always win if there's ever a choice whether I get attack or HP, but the HP is just so doggone important. It really, really is, and you need a minimum of 530% or more of HP, of army HP, in order to be like endgame. I'm saying like more like 550% or more, and that's army HP. That's not even troop HP, okay? And the reason I say that is because morale fights, not losing your leader, killing more troops, all of it has to do with HP as well as attack, all right? So Trojan Jewels are super, super, super important, okay? Terror Jewels, these are equally as important, okay, because it offers 10% infantry attack and the 10% infantry defense. If you had to make me pick between the two of them, I'm a sucker for attack, and I'll always side with attack, but if you actually had to pick between the two because you need a serious answer or whatever, I would still go with the Terror Jewel, because if you're buying the Terrathorn set, essentially, because you got the lash, you've got the chest piece, all that stuff, you'll be getting these Terror Jewels, okay? So it's not going to be much of a choice for you, okay? You will get these jewels. And so lastly, the most important jewel is the infantry attack jewel. This is by far the most important jewel in all of the sets, okay? And any of the equipment you can put this in. And so a budget item to Terror Lash is, well, there isn't one actually. This is the most budget item, and it is the best item. If you're looking for value, you can go with like a Frostwing Greatsword, and I wouldn't really recommend it. because the Kraken's anchor is slightly better, and it gives you a better stat for one additional troop type. Okay, so you know how I mentioned this is better than anything else by 2.5% attack. Well, it's because the Kraken's anchor is the other item that is essentially just as good, but not as good. If that makes any sense, I don't know if I'm being too confusing to people, but Kraken's anchor is the next runner-up, and then it's going to be Frostwing Greatsword. But if you're looking for overall value for all three troop types, go with the Skull Crusher. That's all I'm going to say, okay? Next up on the list is going to be your offhand. Now, the Champion's Light is the best in slot by a long shot, okay? So, Champion Jewel obviously is way better than a Trojan Jewel is. It just is. The Champion's Light does not have a terror jewel as well as the cavalry attack jewel. Otherwise, this would be 65% infantry attack. And you know what? Look, I'm not gonna split hairs on that one. I'm really not. If you cannot or you do not want to afford a Champion's offhand, get Winter Mitts. They're actually the next runner-up. They are extremely good. Okay, they give you a good amount of infantry defense, which is not something to sneeze at. The army defense, they'll give you a good amount of army defense as well. I know it's only 5% more, but this piece right here offers 20% already. So, and then it gives you army HP, all of that good stuff. That's all I'm going to say about that, guys, is that the Winter Mitts are super good, okay? They're just really, really good. And you can slot it up to have 30% infantry attack, you know, and the HP and all that stuff, you know, so that's what I'm saying. Winter Mitts is a very close second to this. And if you're still looking out for something else, you can use the Dark Aegis, you can use the Conch out of the title set. There's a couple other different offhands you can use. Use the filter system or use Lord's Mobile Dressing Room to sort those out. Now let's go over the accessories, right? So obviously a gold Ambrosio Cup is going to be the best in slot. It really is, because 55% infantry attack is just, nothing else beats it, okay? There's nothing that even comes close, all right? Other than a champion accessory to gold, okay? It matches it for attack. The other thing too is that it gives you a large amount of infantry HP, okay? Now the jewel does give you 15%, so the cup gives you 15%. And so this is just really good, guys. It's super solid, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. It's super, super, super solid. If you don't want to use the Ambrosio Cups, a really good alternative, actually, is just to use the Terror Vials. I mean, realistically, you're losing 9% infantry attack. You're losing 15% infantry HP. And that's pretty much about it. I mean, that's about the only thing you're losing right there. So it is a significant loss when you're counting all three of them. That's 45% HP and 27% attack. But if you're going for the budget, if you're going for the low, you know, Terror Vials, those will do for you, okay? And so let's go to the boots. Champion strides are going to be the absolute best in slot, hands down. Nothing even comes close to this, okay? If this had a Terror Jewel in it, it would be 70% infantry attack, okay? It really would be. And just look at it, it's just really nice. 10% army attack, so you might as well have 80% infantry attack on these boots if you slot a Terror Jewel inside the boots. But Chips, he doesn't do that. So here we go. The next runner-up is going to be your Storm Tassets. These are expensive, so you can go ahead and change those out if you really want to. You do not have to use Storm Tassets. If you're still looking for budget, use the Dragon's Talon. This is actually almost as good, almost as good as the Storm Tassets, but they're so much easier to get. These ultra rares they're so much easier. That's all I'm going to say here. The Glowing Eyes, they are significantly easier to get over the pearls for the Storm Tassets. They just are. They're much easier by a long shot, okay? And so let's go for the chest piece, all right? So the Terror Shield, obviously, the Champion's Mail is going to be the best in slot, okay? But he doesn't have a gold, but that's besides the point, Scoobs. The best in slot is going to be the Terror Shield because it offers the most amount of infantry attack, most amount of infantry HP, and it gives you army HP. That's all I'm going to say here, Scoobs, is that this Terror Shield is by far the best in slot for infantry attacks altogether, okay? Next runner-up you can use is a Firewall Plate, okay? It is going to give you a large amount of infantry attack and a good amount of army HP, but it just, you know, this is budget, okay? It is easier to get a Firewall Plate over a Terror Shield. It really, truly is. The blueprints for Firewall Plates, they drop like candy. That's all I'm going to say about that, Scoops. They drop like candy, okay? Helmets, obviously the Champion's Visor is the best in slot. People are like, oh my god, oh my god, Vnn. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm like, Scoobs, chill, okay? The Beast Helmet would be considered the best in slot. But if you look at it close enough, you're going to notice here it only minuses 5% infantry attack here. So the Beast Helmet has 5% more infantry attack on the actual item itself, but it's got 10% less army attack. So in all actuality, it's got 5% less attack. And the army HP is just not even remotely close, okay? You do get the travel speed with it, so it might be a big bonus to you to get that travel speed, depending on your gameplay, okay? Depending on your style of gameplay, if you're willing to, lose the small amount of attack and HP, yeah, go for it. That's all I'm going to say about that, all right? If you're still looking for a budget helmet, I've got bad news for you, man. Helmets are the one item in the game that's just, you can't really budget all that well. If you're looking for something cheap and easy, go with the Indulgent Visage from the Bon Appetit set, and that's all I'm going to say about that. It's kind of cruddy, so, you're really stuck with the Beast Helmet, unless you go Champions. That's all I'm going to say about that, all right? And the Beast Helmet's hard to get to gold, okay? Now, let's go ahead and talk about, let's talk about the heroes and stuff, okay? Let's go with the infantry heroes. Now, this is by far the best. This is the absolute best march for a full infantry attack. This is by far, nothing is going to be better than it, other than maybe an additional $11,000 hero, okay? I mean, obviously, not this one because it's cavalry and range 60%. But if Chips had the cavalry infantry hero, it would actually be better. It would replace the Grimwolf, is what it would do. But that's besides the point, Scoops. It would actually replace it by a lot, actually. So, but that's besides the point. If you're looking to not spend $11,000 on a hero, these are going to be your best in slot heroes. So Grimwolf is going to make it. Let's see here. The best hero in the game, point blank, for infantry is going to be your Twilight Priestess, because it gives you army attack, it gives you infantry HP, infantry defense, and infantry attack, okay? She's by far the best, okay? The next runner-ups are actually, it's not even Grimwolf, it's not even the runner-up. The next two runner-ups are actually going to be free-to-play heroes, Demon Slayer and Oathkeeper right down here, right? If I can get down there. And Oathkeeper, because they offer 50% infantry HP, and 30% infantry attack, my bad, right? And so, who would have figured two of the best infantry heroes are actually free to play? Like, these are the best heroes in the game for infantry attacks, is these two, Demon Slayer and Oathkeeper, okay? And so, if you're still trying to be, low, you're not trying to spend any money, then you don't want Grimwolf, right? Because you can't spend any money, and you can't spend any money on Twilight Priestess. Go ahead and use these two heroes, and then what you want to use is Soul Forger, because he's got 30% infantry attack. You want to use Sea Squire, because he's got 30% infantry attack. And then you want to use an army attack hero, like I don't know, like you can use Rose Knight, or you can use Bomb and Goblin, because they both offer 20% army attack. And the reason I say that is because all of the other infantry heroes, like Shade, only offer defense, and that's not exactly where you want to be. And remember, there's nothing wrong with tossing in like a Bomb and Goblin into this march, because you can only ever have 4 heroes of one troop type show up into combat. The 5th hero will always take a bench, okay? So if you send 5 infantry heroes, you'll only ever see 4 of them. So it's not a bad thing to send in a Bomb and Goblin if you don't have the other heroes, or you don't want to spend, or whatever the case may be, on your heroes. And it's still fairly comparable, right? So you get 140% infantry attack instead of 150 as a baseline, or whatever the case may be. You lose some stats like the HP and the defense, but that's besides the point. Pick your heroes and stick to them and max them out, essentially, okay? Because gold heroes, they're just the best, okay? Purple heroes, they're not nearly as good as a gold hero. For instance, let me give you a good for instance here. So if I had to choose between, let's see here, Barbarian, which gives me attack, defense, and HP, versus, I don't know, like a Sage of Storms, I would actually use Sage of Storms over the Berserker, because it would do more damage. Even though it's only got a defense boost right here, the fact of the matter is this electric shower does a boatload of damage, okay? With an all-cavalry march, it just does more damage than this Barbarian will ever do, okay? And or add, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. So let's go ahead and go into the the troop makeup, right? How are you going to send your marches out? So if you're sending out, if you're doing all infantry, okay, go to your troop formation. And what you want to do is you always want to put the troop you're fighting with, whether you're infantry, whether you're cav, or whether you're range, you always want to put your main force at the extreme back in a straight line. You don't want to use a wedge into it because wedges typically will sometimes mess up, if that makes any sense. I wouldn't recommend you. I mean, you could use a wedge. You can use a wedge. So if you send an infantry march, you can use a ranged wedge, and they'll attack the range, and then they'll attack the cavalry, or you can just use a cavalry phalanx, whichever one. If you're trying to be edgy, use the range wedge. That's all I'm going to say here. And so this is what it looks like, okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let me go to an attack, and I'll show you guys why you use this. So let me go down here. I believe it's... Boom, there we go. So this guy right here, right? So I attacked this guy when I was doing KVK, and I destroyed his wall, basically. If you look really close at the fight, you're going to notice a couple of things here, right? And so the reason why you use... the reason why you set that, the formation like that, is because you always want to make sure that you put 4 troops of each other unit, so 4 cavalry, 4 range, in front, essentially, of your main force, so that these volleys from these range units will always attack the like the cavalry first, and then they'll attack the range units, and then guess what? Look at that. Now all of your infantry are already at the wall. The enemy wall's down, and now it's your full force of infantry. I see a lot of players sending a full infantry march in an infantry phalanx, and it doesn't do nearly as much damage as if you were to send it in like a range wedge or a cavalry phalanx. Okay, it just doesn't do nearly as much damage. And so, if you're wondering, what about after the wall, right? What about after the wall? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that too, right? As soon as this loads up, oh, it's taking forever. It's taking forever. All right, so let's look at this one right here, right? So another 300,000 killed. Oh, this guy was like 280 million might, and I destroyed him in KVK. And yes, highlights are ready to come. Just stay tuned, okay? And so, boom, let's go up here, view the battle one more time, and just look at exactly how these troops are lining up, right? So the wall's going to go down right there, right? Now look at these range units. Right, these range units are going to attack these cavalry units first, okay? Wait for it. And then these cavalry units are going to hit the first squad, the first 2 squads, I should say, of the range unit. Now, if you were to send the next attack in, let's say, a ranged wedge, they will all hit the ranged units, and then they'll hit the cavalry units. So it's to each their own. A ranged wedge is better, in my opinion, for the second attack, but for all intents and purposes, I was lazy when I sent these attacks. I didn't want to change. That's all I'm going to say about that, all right? And so, as you can see here, my main force now is just dominating. Also, if you do send it in a cavalry wedge, if for any reason this guy started getting units back to his base, right? So if he unrallied, unhit his troops, got a march back, all that. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that if he did all of that stuff, it's possible for you to actually lose your leader to somebody because you sent in, all one troop type, and maybe he's got, all cavalry hidden and all this. You know what I'm trying to say here? So even if he would demolish all of my infantry troops, I still have 2 guys right here that are ranged to help my morale out so I can escape with my leader. That's the other reason why I send in a cavalry phalanx instead of an infantry, a ranged wedge. And so, yeah, maybe make a little bit more sense of that. But anyways, I'm going to destroy this guy. That's besides the point, okay? Aside from all that stuff, guys, hopefully this video is educational to you guys. Hopefully you appreciate this video. I will do the range setup next, which is not bad. You guys think that a full ranged march is no bueno. It's actually pretty good, okay? It's really good, okay? I'll do that, and then I'll do the cavalry, and then I'll do the in-betweens that I maybe missed, or maybe a mixed armor setup, if you really need it for whatever reason. But anyways, guys, you know what I'm talking about, though, right? Love, peace, and chicken grease. Be safe. Thanks for stopping by to spend some of your quality time. And, yeah, stay classy. Mwah.